Yo, yo, yo. What's good, fam? It's your boy Chino, and you already know the vibes. We back at it again. Today I'm here with Midnight, and today's the big day. We start big modifications for Midnight. Big turbo upgrade, equal length headers, coil rad radiator, whole bunch of stuff. Walnut blasting, the intake valves, turbo inlet, water methanol injection. If you've seen the last videos, you know it's coming up. It's going to be a bit of work. It's probably going to take a couple days. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. I do got to get Midnight jacked up in the air and on jack stands. I got to put her on the Rams first because I can't get the jack underneath her without doing that. But I do got to get her hooked up on the battery charger because I have to unmarry the COBB Accessport. With all the stuff we're doing, we won't be able to use the Accessport without having to check engine light, which we don't want. So I have to unmarry the Accessport. Because of that, I want to put it on the battery charger because I don't want to brick my ECU. And we're going to go ahead and set up the ECUTek because that's what we're going to be using to get tuned by Clint Sommerfelt of CS Tune, based out of Chicago, Illinois. And that is coming up Friday, so we got to get all this done. So I'm going to get Midnight jacked up in the air, get my battery charger hooked up and running, and then we'll get inside the car and I'll show you guys unmarrying the Accessport. Let's get to it. Alright fam, so we are about to unmarry the COBB Accessport. Whenever you go to change tunes or install the Accessport or unmarry the Accessport or anything like that, it always gives you a prompt, a little warning. Make sure the battery is fully charged or put the battery on a charger while doing this. In case something happens, battery dies, or something goes wrong, you can brick your ECU, which we definitely do not want to do. I've never replaced the battery in Midnight yet, so 2020 car with a factory battery. We're in 2026. I've never had this battery die on me or had to jump it or anything, but better safe than sorry. We will hook up the battery charger and just make sure that this thing, everything's going to go smoothly. We're not going to brick my ECU before a major upgrade because that would be no bueno. And all right, fam, we are in Midnight. I got the keys turned on to the on position. Accessport is on. Woo! Pretty excited here, guys. Big stuff. Uninstall. That's what we want to do. This is going to remove the tune from the car and unmarry the Accessport from the car. Continuing, we'll completely uninstall the Accessport and reset the factory data. Continue. If you're unsure of your battery life or the health of your battery, definitely see this warning. Turn off headlights, climate controls, connect battery charger before proceeding. And alright guys, I'm gonna let this do its thing and uninstall, and I'll cut back when it's done. We can grab the ECUTek dongle, get it in here, and I'll follow the instructions that were sent to me in an email from my tuner. So yeah, we'll be back in a bit. Let's just let it run its course. Okay, it's ready to go to the next stage. It says please turn off and leave the ignition in the off position to begin vehicle reinitialization. Okay, it's turned off. Focus, focus. All right, it says please leave the ignition off while the vehicle reinitializes. To complete the reflash process, vehicle must remain off for the entirety, or I'm sorry, the entire duration, or the reflash may not fully complete. Okay, now we can turn it on. All right, focus has a problem. The sun's right there, so that's yeah, less than ideal. All right, we got to turn it off, leave it off 15 seconds before starting the vehicle. I'll just press OK there. All right, guys, Accessport is unmarried. So I can't go driving midnight right now because with the mods she currently has on with the factory tune, she would be very unhappy. So it's okay, because we're not about to drive her. We got a lot of work to do. All right, boys. So COBB Accessport is unmarried, and we are going to get things underway to do. We want to focus first on the intake valve cleaning. So first things first, pop this right off and out. All right, guys, I'm gonna want to remove top mount, charge pipe, cold air intake, turbo inlet. I want to take all that stuff off because it has to come off for the turbo upgrade. Just get all this stuff out of the way so I got space in the bay. The battery will also come out. You can see I took the charger off. While I have the battery out, I'll go ahead and pop it back on the charger and let it charge while I do my thing. But before I do any of that, because we're doing the intake valve cleaning, and I have to disconnect these fuel lines, one thing I will do before we start disassembling everything is go ahead and pop off this fuse cover panel, which, there we go, those tabs were fighting me a little bit. Okay, and I want to look inside this cover, and I want to find where the fuse pump, or the fuse for the fuel pump. Alright, guys, this whole video may not be tutorial style. I'm trying to show you as much as I can along the way just to give you guys some information too. Fuel pump is right there. So that's going to be that blue 15 amp fuse right there. I want to pull that out before I go ahead and disassemble any of this stuff. I'm going to pull that fuse out, and I'm going to go ahead and start the car, and I want to let it run and let that fuel out, because I'm going to be disconnecting these fuel lines. Sorry guys, I had to go grab some pliers so I could pop that thing out. I tried to do it by hand and it was just in there pretty snug. So we got that 15 amp fuse out. I'm going to go ahead, cover has a little spot to put it where there's another spare. There's some spares in here, so I'm going to pop that right back in there, and I'm just going to set that right back on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and get inside the car. I'm going to start it up, and we're going to let it run until it shuts off, basically, and just let the fuel that's in the lines go ahead and run out. So when I disconnect the fuel lines, up here to take off this intake manifold. I'm not going to make a big mess with gas and spray fuel all over the place. So yeah, let's go ahead and start the car. All right, guys, we are in midnight. We're just going to go ahead. Now, fuel pump fuse is out, so she won't be getting any fuel fed to her. She's just going to be running off of what's inside the lines. And she cut off already. Wow. That was really fast. She's good. She's done. All right. I expected it to run at least a few minutes before that happened. Okay, I was wrong. I'm going to go ahead and start loosening up this stuff. Loosen up the couplers so we can get the top mount out. Then charge pipe, intake, get those things out the way because they got to come off anyways for our bottom side work. All right, guys, I want to go ahead and loosen these up. So we can get the top mount out of here. Alright guys, gotta go grab a screwdriver. We're gonna go ahead and loosen up the couplers on the charge pipe side of the top mount into the charge pipe itself. Alright, so we should be able to pop this that's loosened out the way. Alright guys, so just gonna go ahead and loosen the strut tower bar on both ends. That in there, and we'll go ahead and do the same thing on this side. And we're gonna go ahead and turn it on this side because I don't have too much space here on the back for the ratchet. All right. Got our washer, got our nut, bolt. Put these back together. Put these on the tray. Get this up out the way. Alright guys. Now that the strut tower bar is out the way, we have to finagle out this top mount. Alright guys, I had to go ahead and pop off the ducting from the top of the intercooler because it really seemed like that was interfering with getting it out. I think that may have gotten installed after the intercooler was already in. Otherwise, you're just able to sneak it in there but not out. I don't remember. Top mount is out. We'll set it aside. Alright guys, so now that the top mount is out, I'm gonna go ahead and get underneath so I can take off the black plastic splash shield and the engine cover, so I can go ahead and disconnect the cold air intake so we can pop off that and pop off the charge pipe and get this stuff out the way so we got space on that side of the intake manifold. Alright guys, I went ahead and disconnected or I dropped down that plastic drip tray underneath the car, also the metal heat shield from underneath the car to be able to gain access to the exhaust manifold, the turbo, and all that good stuff that we're going to be getting to later, but also to be able to disconnect the cold air intake from the turbo inlet and also the charge pipe from the turbo so that we can get the charge pipe and get this intake out of the way to make space on this side of the engine, because we'll also, aside from having to get this off, we're going to be doing plugs once the intake valves are nice and clean. Also, we're going to be, before I pull off the intake manifold, I got to drain the coolant. So once we get this intake and charge pipe out the way, I'll go ahead and drain the radiator for whatever coolant it's got, because that will be getting replaced with the Rad radiator. Once this work is done and we're ready to start putting things back in the car, we also got some new radiator hoses for it, since it's all coming apart and those are factory ones. May as well get it all done at the same time. Intake should, there we go. Just be careful with the carbon fiber. There we go. Cold air intake is out, but I'm gonna have to disconnect this one up here. I just realized there's more stuff connected down at the base. I can't just pull that coupler off because it's still attached to the bypass valve. Silly me. That's okay. At least I didn't go yank on it. I realized there was resistance. I said, huh. Got our little plastic wedge tool here. Yeah, see, it did create a nice little suction. I had a seal. Just had to slip that in there, bro. Charge pipe is out, fellas. All right, guys, now that we got the intake, the top mount, and the charge pipe out, I'm gonna go ahead and drain this radiator of its coolant. I will disconnect the electrical connectors going to the fans, and then I'll pop off these radiator stays. We'll take off the hoses. We'll pop this radiator out. It'll give us some more space. So I'm gonna go bottom side. I'll grab a bucket. We'll drain that coolant into a bucket. And then, yeah, we'll move forward with a little bit more disassembly. Just grab some pliers, pull back on that clamp, pull it back. Coolant is draining into my bucket, so I use that same little plastic tool. Yep, you see that? Wedge that in here, break the seal, because wow, it's on there pretty good. So this radiator, one of the reasons I'm upgrading the radiator is just because of age, really, honestly. And if you're gonna spend the money on a new radiator, why get another OEM one that's just as expensive, if not more expensive, than an aftermarket one? And you can get a nice Rad that's all aluminum construction, and you will avoid this problem of the end tanks. The plastic just degrades over time. What started off as a nice black plastic end tank on the top and bottom starts turning gray, from gray to brown. Once it's brown, you know you're on borrowed time. And it is browning. The whole thing isn't a super deep brown yet, but right here, which is main point of failure other than busting at the seams or cracking somewhere here along the top, breaking right here. So good reason for the upgrade. And again, if you're going to spend all that money on an OEM piece, why not get something that's a little bit better condition for a better price? They're pretty close to the same price. I forget, honestly. It's been a while since I looked it up. I've had the Koyo Rad, just waiting for this moment, this day. We got coolant draining. All right, guys. I am also, I don't have to do this step right now, but I'm gonna get it out the way because although it's not really interfering with the intake manifold, I gotta get it out the way later anyway, so why not do it now while I'm waiting for this coolant still draining out slowly but surely. We want to let as much of that out as we can, so when I remove the bottom hose and these lines, I'm not going to make a big mess of coolant anywhere. Alright fam, I got upper and lower hoses disconnected from the radiator. Radiator is all drained. Disconnected connectors from the coolant fans. I disconnected the radiator stays. So this thing should just pull up and right on out. Alright guys, and just like that, the radiator is out of the way. So we got a little bit of more space. A little bit of more space. I don't know why that came out like that, guys. I felt like a cartoon. A bibbidi bobbidi boobidi bobbidi. Italian cartoon. Alright fam, that cable stay fought me a little bit, but I was able to use a pick, go ahead and press the tab on the inside to release it and undo it from the cable. You can see it's right there. What's good fam, just want to show you, I blew off the top of the engine. There was so much sand and dirt on top and everywhere. I just don't want that. I wanted to blow all that shit out, so I'm not getting all this shit. I don't want nothing to fall in the engine. Got all the holes going into the engine blocked up with rags. Oh all right, but anyways, prepping right now. I got the media blaster set up full of media. I spilled a little bit of walnut shells. I didn't fill it up all the way. Probably could hold the bag that I got. Hopefully I don't need to run out to Harbor Freight and grab more, but just got to hook up air to it. I got my little compressor out here, little wand set up. Be working on. We got our little tool right here, 3D printed thing I bought on Amazon. We'll put that on the valve we're gonna be working on, leave the others blocked off, and yeah, we'll start blasting these valves. They're really not that bad. Let's see if I can get in there with the camera enough to see. It's kind of dark. Well, pretty hard to get a good view in there.
without blocking the camera. But they're not that bad. Yeah, it's pretty hard to get you guys a peek in there. Oh, there you go. You can see a little bit. It's not really focusing that well. Could be lighting's not helping. You guys can see a little bit, I think. They're a little dirty. Exactly. I think, hopefully, that they're good. 70K is what is on the car right now. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good. They're not too dirty for 70,000 miles, and deleting the TGVs and EGRs are going to help minimize that, as well as running water methanol is going to help keep those nice and clean. So this won't be such a problem in the future. Also, I'm running the catch cans that it didn't have for like the first 60,000 miles on there. Maybe even closer to 65,000 miles, no catch cans or no AOS. So we should really be mitigating a lot of that now. But yeah, let's get to it. I'm gonna go ahead and set up so I can turn the engine over so we can close up the valves on the valve we're gonna work on. We'll leave all these covered up. I'll go ahead and put my adapter on there and we'll start working on it. All right, fam, check it out. I want to show you the side that was done. There we go. Look at that. Not sure how well you can see, how well it focuses. Lighting, I got the sun out here and I'm in a dark space, so lighting is fighting with itself. But if you can see a little bit, actually right there, you can see it looks pretty good, nice and clean. Not 100% perfect, probably could spend a little bit more time, but I'm pretty happy with the results. It's really clean, better than it was, although admittedly, I mean, they were pretty dirty, but they weren't too bad. All right, so this is the side that's done. All right, I try to show you as best I can. Lighting, here's, like I said, kind of not perfect. Not perfect. All right, but you get the picture. So that side is done. Let's zoom out. Okay, this side right now, not sure if you can see, I've got it soaking currently in parts cleaner to soften up the carbon that's in there. We're gonna let it soak for a little bit. I got it, it's been soaking for a while, and I'm gonna let it soak a little bit more, and then I'll go ahead and get out that fluid that's in there, and then I'll start blasting it with the walnut shells. All right, fam. What's good, fam? It's your boy Chino, and we are still working on cleaning these intake valves. I had a slight excuse me, technical difficulty with the media blaster. Got clogged up. It wasn't working optimally for a while. I had to spend some time trying to get it, but I did get the passenger side valves fairly clean. Really happy with the result on that side. So next I am gonna start working on the intake valves on the driver's side of the engine. Yeah, that's what we're working with. My wife just brought me some French fries and chicken nuggets and a drink, so I'm stopping to take a little break, have a little bite to eat.